One of the essential parts of the Kaddish is the recitation of Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach La'olam Olmei Maya. May the great name be blessed for now and for all eternity. In fact, not only is it the most important, but in the Talmudic times, the Talmud actually refers to Kaddish as the Yehei Shmei Rabba. The Talmud also says that when we recite Yehei Shmei Rabba, the Holy One nods with his head. Obviously, this is a metaphor, and says, "And what is there for a father who distanced from his children, and woe to the children who have been exiled from the table of his father?" Which means that it awakens a great compassion from on high. In another place in the Talmud speaks about that when a person answers Yehei Shmei Rabba b'chol kaichai, with all his strength, which can either mean physically saying Yehei Shmei Rabba loudly, or with all his intention, all negative decrees are annulled and the person opens up the gates of Gan Eden. Let's try to understand a little bit what this passage is, Yehei Shmei Rabba. Loosely, this is actually a translation from a verse that says Baruch Shem Kavod Machus Olam Lavad, a verse in the Torah that blesses your name forever and ever, and this is the translation Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach La'olam Olmei. Now the Talmud says that we should answer Yehei Shmei Rabba with all our strength, b'chol koichai. Yehei Shmei Rabba, these 7 words, Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach La'olam Olmei, these 7 words have also 28 letters. So we have 28 letters and 7 words. This is a very interesting parallel because this is exactly the same thing we find of 28 and 7 is with the first verse in the Torah. The first verse in the Torah, also Bereshis Bara Elokim Es HaShamayim Es HaAretz, has 7 words and 28 letters. The same thing also at the beginning of the 10 Commandments, Aseres HaDibros, Vaydaber Hashem Adaber Kol Dvarim Ha'ela Lemor, and Hashem spoke all these words speaking, again, also has 7 words and 28 letters. The number 28, which is in Hebrew the word for koach, and this is why the Talmud says that a person should answer Yehei Shmei Rabba b'chol koicha, with all his strength. 28 also, we find in the Torah, represents change, as we find in the book of Kabbalistic, which speaks about change, that there's a time for everything, there's time to laugh, there's time to weep, ace, 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 and there are actually 28 itim, 28 times. As a month has generally 28 days, and the 29th day is the beginning of the next month, the Erev, beginning of the new moon. So we have 28 represents change. 7 represents also change because 7 represents the 7 days of the week. In the Beis Yosef, one of the commentaries of the writers of the Shulchan Aruch, writes that the names of the 7 planets, and there are 7 planets corresponding to the 7 days of the week, also have 28 letters. So 7 and 28 represents the changes and the cycles. The cycle of 7 is a cycle of the week. The cycle of 28 is a cycle of the month. Months, when you have a cycle of months, then you have a year, and the weeks create months, etc. So we have these 2 ideas of change. The words themselves, Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach, may the great name be blessed, refers to the idea, which we spoke a little bit before, of the name that is now in a state of concealment, because there is mourning, and there's loss, and there's absence of life. The person feels in a state of silence, and a person feels in a state of weakness, and this weakness, this silencing, this sense of purposelessness, and this sense of being alienated, this occurs because on a cosmic level, the divine, the Shekhinah that is with the person is also in exile. In the Talmud, it mentions a very interesting story, which is that when Moshe Rabbeinu goes up into the mountain, and he encounters Hashem, Hashem tells him, "Why don't you, klum yashalom be'ircha, do you have peace in your land?" Which means, why don't you say hello to me? Why don't you say, how are you doing? So Moshe Rabbeinu turns to God and says, "Klum yesh eved, is there a servant that ever asks his master for shalom, for peace? Ever says hello? It's not honor." So Hashem said, "Hoyilach larzeini, you should have helped me." And Moshe's response is, "Va'ata yigdal na koyach Adonai." Now the koyach, the strength of Adonai, should become enforced, increased. The koyach Adonai represents the strength of the name that is incomplete, the Yud Kei Vav Kei, the Shmei Rabba, the great name that's in a state of concealment, because we don't see the divine in every aspect of our life. And that's exactly why we're saying Kaddish. We're saying Kaddish because it's darkness. Kaddish, the word Kaddish itself has a numeric value as 414, which represents the two types of Or. Or is 207. 2727 is 414. It's the Or Yashar, the Or is a direct light and reflective light. Sometimes in our life there's light that's clear and sometimes it's not clear. When we're experiencing unclarity, when we're experiencing silence, when we're experiencing a sense of lack of purpose, we're saying, let the great name be healed. Let the great name become complete. Let it be koach. Let it manifest within all its strength and all its power in all the seasons of our life, in the times that we laugh and the times that we cry, on Sunday and on Monday, in all the seasons and all the days of the week. We should always sense the divine presence in our lives. And when we sense the divine presence in our life, that's when we see purpose and meaning. And the vessel, which is the separation and the death, becomes lessened, and we feel less in pain and more a sense of purpose and understanding, and a little bit of wisdom emerges from this place of darkness.